Innsmouth first showed up in H.P. Lovecraft's The Shadow over Innsmouth and has been a go-to setting for all kinds of creepy Lovecraftian tales ever since. Known as the home of the Deep Ones, it was run by the infamous Esoteric Order of Dagon and has made appearances in plenty of Cthulhu Mythos stories from other authors too. Today we're diving into the town's history, location, and its most infamous events. Let's explore Innsmouth. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What is Innsmouth, and why is it significant in the Cthulhu Mythos? Originating in 1643, Innsmouth could be found on the bus route between Arkham and Newburyport until it was finally destroyed in 1928. It was home to the Deep Ones as well as many human families who ran several mysterious cults and conducted all sorts of shocking activities in their homes. Innsmouth has famously appeared in Lovecraft stories such as Fungi from Yuggoth, The Thing on the Doorstep, and The Dreams in the Witch House, and it was later mentioned in August Derleth's works as well. And now, without further ado, let us explore the town's location and the role it played in the Cthulhu Mythos. Geography of Innsmouth, a town in Decay. To precisely locate Innsmouth, one had to follow the Manaxet River and travel towards the north for an hour after reaching Newburyport's coast. This river flew across these towns before finally joining the river, making it quite easy for eager travelers to locate this decaying, haunted town. After Innsmouth eventually fell into disrepair and destruction, the Deep Ones took no responsibility to restore it, and it barely had any functioning roads. Most of the street signs had been removed. It became tricky to locate places, and the town was considered a bit dangerous. It also lacked a public library or a chamber of commerce, but it did have a town square in the form of a 4-story hotel within the Gilman House. The building had peeling yellow paint that had deteriorated over the years, but it was a functioning market with a First Nation chain grocery store as well as many other shops. Some of these shops were restaurants or drugstores, and there was a wholesale fish dealer's office as well. The town square also had the Mars Refining Company's office, even though the actual refinery was located on the northern bank of the river, all the way across from the town square. In addition, there was a sand-clogged dock behind an old stone backwater that was once home to a glorious lighthouse. Innsmouth's layout consisted of a main street, which was home to all sorts of dangerous folks and slums. There were 3 abandoned churches on the main street as well, and while a few people still made a home out of this street, it was mostly boarded up. The western streets were filled with the town's elite, and the Broad, Washington, Lafayette, and Adams families lived there all their lives. Innsmouth's folks had set up a new church on the Federal Street, and one of the long-standing Masonic halls on this street had also been sold off to the Esoteric Order of Dagon by the Cavalry Commandery. While the Federal Street was quite bustling, places such as Fish Street and Water Street had broken bridges and deserted warehouses. The Esoteric Order of Dagon, the ruling power. While Lovecraft created the Esoteric Order of Dagon as part of Cthulhu lore, it was based on a real occult order that had ties with the Yog Sothothery. Another occult society by the same name did exist in the real world and sought inspiration from the works of Lovecraft and occultist Aleister Crowley. In Lovecraft's writings, Captain Obed Marsh established the order in Innsmouth. After learning all about the rituals of a Polynesian island, the Order often performed ritualistic sacrifices on Devil Reef to Deep Ones. It was maintained by the Deep Ones and the hybrid agents, who tried to recruit more humans to work towards their bigger goal of freeing Cthulhu from imprisonment. They were also trying to look for Earlier, and they typically expanded their order by breeding with cultists or kidnapping humans from rape camps. The Order also had the star spawn of Cthulhu and monsters from the deep end in their service, which allowed them to control oceans and water bodies worldwide. These practices continued forever, and the Order's members and Captain Marsh were placed under arrest in 1846 over their practices. However, they were soon released, and no formal arrests or records were maintained to incriminate them. Eventually, the United States government shut down the order in 1928 when they attacked the entire town. Key events and the rise and fall of Innsmouth. When Innsmouth first came into existence in 1643, it was known for its shipbuilding activities. It reached its peak reputation as a naval hub after the War of 1812. After many of its sailors lost their lives in the war, Innsmouth's trade reputation went down, and both the shipping families and the local mills suffered due to a dip in business. The town of Innsmouth had truly had an enriched history that was enmeshed with the activities of the Esoteric Order of Dagon. In 1846, Captain Marsh and a bunch of cultists were placed under arrest by Selectman Mowry, and the Deep Ones then barged into the town to break them out. This led to a full-scale war where these entities purged the resistant population, and unfortunately, half of the town's strength succumbed to their death in a plague from China. The town was also affected by the American Civil War, which greatly impacted its harbor trades. Innsmouth flourished for quite some time as an industrial center, but the Marsh Refining Company remained the only mill still standing and operating by the 1920s. Robert Olmsted made it to the news when he escaped the town on July 16, 1927, and finally revealed everything that was going on in the town's darkest corners. Finally, an army of federal agents decided to lay siege to the town and slowly destroy it over 2 years. By February 1928, the town was deserted, and the entire incident was reported as a prohibition-related clash, even though none of the cult members were actually placed in the prison system. Many members of the orders were placed under arrest, and one of the torpedoes fired into the Devil Reef, while the others mysteriously disappeared. The Deep Ones and their influence on Innsmouth. Considering the fact that the Deep Ones barged into town to deal with the resistance, let us have a look at these entities who played a key role in the Esoteric Order of Dagon's functioning. The Deep Ones were essentially aquatic monstrosities with a humanoid appearance, scaly, fish-like skin, and feathered gills all over their torso. Their limbs tapered off in webbed hands and feet, and their heads can be best likened to fish heads, with unblinking wide eyes that gave them excellent vision. They were immortal beings who typically liked settling down on the ocean bed, and there were 4 known Deep One cities. One of them, Esoteric, was situated near the Devil's Reef in Innsmouth, and these entities had managed to establish a mutually beneficial relationship with the townsfolk. The town gave them easy access to human stock for breeding purposes, and they offered fertile fishing grounds and hordes of exotic golden jewelry to fund the town's economy in exchange. Unfortunately, the United States government discovered this city in 1928, and things went downhill for them after the government decided to use explosives and submarine-launched torpedoes to destroy the place. While most people assume that Esoteric no longer exists, recent evidence suggested the possibility that the Deep Ones had survived the attack. Major families of Innsmouth: Marsh, Waite, Gilman, and Elliot. Even though most of the population was massacred, about 300 or 400 people survived most of these assaults. Many of the survivors were Deep One hybrids, while a few of them were Polish or Portuguese migrants. There were some major families that had managed to maintain a legacy despite the chaos and the massacres, such as the Marsh, Waite, Gilman, and Elliot. Of all these, the Marsh family was known to be the most powerful and had a gently bred reputation among the townsfolk. They also owned the last standing factory in the family, and the family patriarch, Obed Marsh, found the order in the first place. One Sepphoris Marsh and Barnabas Marsh were other key members of the family, and Barnabas even established the family's gold business in 1927. Headed by S.N.F. Waite, the Waite family was known for owning the fulling mill that was eventually handed over to the Marsh family. Additionally, Louis Waite was notoriously known as one of the first men to be taken to the Devil Reef by the Order way before its downfall in the 1840s. Additionally, the Gilman family lost Hiram Gilman to the Devil Reef as well as the Briggs, Elizzy, and Ranger in the War of 1812. The Elliot family was the last well-known family in town, and Matt Elliot became Obed Marsh's first mate. He was also known for his resistance against selling the Innsmouth Lodge to the Order, but he was mysteriously kidnapped and killed off in order to silence him. Other notable residents of Innsmouth included the town bus driver, Joe Sargent, and Zadon Allen, a 96-year-old man who had witnessed the town in all its glory and ruin. He was notable for standing firmly against the Order, and he was one of the few people who had not been converted by them. He eventually turned to alcoholism and was probably killed off by the Order after he tried to speak to Robert Olmsted. Other young men of the town were Nick Pierce, Henry Garrison, and Adoniram Southwick, who were all taken off to the Devil Reeve. Resolved Babcock was the town's Baptist parson, but he soon disappeared after the Order established their headquarters. Among other people, Esdras Martin was well known as the operator of the barquentine known as Malai Pride, which eventually sailed off to the Pacific. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we have explored the town of Innsmouth as well as the practices that made it a creepy, mysterious place by the sea. The Esoteric Order of Dagon did bring a creepy vibe to the place, but it is quite characteristic of Lovecraft's works and the Cthulhu Mythos at large. We hope you enjoyed exploring Innsmouth with us, and do share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.